Hey guys, this is Mike from the Sandtrap and Golf Evolution. Just want to talk about the myth about retaining the flex in your rear knee. And that's something that's really been promoted and talked about by a lot of golf instructors, and it's just incorrect. The right knee or the rear leg straightening just serves too many good purposes in the golf swing. And I'm going to kind of go through that and why and when I say we, I'm talking about the stack and tilt community, the Morad guys, Golf Evolution, kind of whatever you want to call it. Those are the guys that really point out that this is happening. They're not getting this information out of thin air. They're not trying to be controversial by talking about this. They look at swings, look at what players actually do, not what they say they do or what they feel, and really kind of analyze what's going on. So I have two players here, Phil Mickelson and Charles Howell, guys that have been in the past notorious for really working on trying to maintain flex in their rear legs. Butch Harmon's talked about this a lot. I've seen Charles Howell work with different kind of gadgets, either kind of swing vests or stuff on his knee, standing on balls, trying to maintain the flex in his knee. But we're going to see that as he takes it back, for him, he does for what he's trying to do, he's doing a really good job of keeping it flexed for a long time. We're going to start to see that towards the end of his backswing, how it straightens. It actually almost snaps because he's not gradually allowing it to straighten. He's trying to keep it flexed, and then it snaps. Right there. Okay. We're going to also see that Mickelson does gradually allows that leg to straighten. Now, when we say straighten, we don't mean completely straight. We don't mean it locking out. Okay. But the rear leg losing flexion, we also say straightening, is imperative to making a good golf swing. This is something that can really frustrate some other instructors that have spent their whole lives trying to teach players to keep it flexed. But like I'm saying, it's imperative, it's essential, it's one of the most important things you do in your golf swing is to allow that rear leg to lose flexion. Now, why do we want that to happen? Well, what it allows is the hips and the shoulders to turn on an inclined plane. As we can see, Charles' left shoulder is lower than his right, so the shoulder went down in the backswing. He's turning on a tilted angle. He's not swinging level to the ground. So that right leg straightening allows the hips to turn, allows the left shoulder to go down. It also gets the arms to swing inward. So we don't swing straight back and straight through. If we did that, Charles' hands would end up right about there. Since that's a straight line. There you go. And since his right knee doesn't straighten for a while, he kind of does that for a little bit. But as it's straightening, we can see that arm's going more and more inward. There. See that when it snaps, that arm goes back. Again, we're swinging on an inclined plane. Same thing with Phil. If I was to take Phil back to setup, he's not taking this club straight back, or his hand straight back. Allows him to turn on a tilted plane. Another important piece is being able to use the ground for power. And we do that by regaining flexion of the right knee on the downswing. So we start off with it flexed, allow it to straighten, then it regains flexion, and then we're going to straighten it into the follow through, as Charles does there. Same thing with Mickelson. He's going to regain flexion, maybe a little bit too much, but that's okay. He's won 4 majors. And then he's going to allow it to eventually it will straighten. Here we go. But again, that's a power piece. It's flexion to extension, back to flexion, then extension. Okay. Also, another important aspect is how it prevents injuries. Just recently on the Stack and Tilt Facebook wall, Scott Cox made a post, and I'm just going to kind of use that. He talks about by bracing the right thigh and limiting hip mobility, the golfer needs to overstress their lumbar region to create enough backswing turn and depth, potentially creating damage to the lumbar region. By starting with the foot flare, which just means that the right foot's turned out, the hips are primed for rotation, allowing the right knee to strain will reduce stress at the knee and lumbar spine throughout the swing. James Hirschfield also made another post showing Sergio's backswing and how it can keeping the right or rear knee flexed can cause some foot inversion and potential ligament damage. So not only does it give us symmetry in terms of what we're looking for geometrically with the golf swing, what we're looking for with power in terms of using the ground, but it also will help us prevent injury. Kind of want to go through a couple of swings from tour players or players kind of around, or they've won majors, guys that some of the best ball strikers out there. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Again, none of these guys I'm going to show are quote unquote stack and tilt players. They haven't worked with Andy and Mike. So we got Graham McDowell here. On the left, you can see he clearly is straightening that right leg, and you can see as he's straightening it, look what's happening to the hip slant or the hip tilt. It's actually kind of increasing, and the shoulders are moving. The left shoulder is moving down, and the left arm is in. Left arm, I mean the camera's a little bit in front of him, but basically at the top of the backswing, that left arm is matching his shoulder tilt. Same thing with Charlie Hoffman over here on the right. See that right knee is moving away. Camera's moving a little bit, but we're going to see that, if I was to draw kind of an outline, his leg, that looks very different by the time we get to P4, top of the backswing, than what it did at address. Again, not completely locking it, not completely making it straight, but allowing it to lose quite a bit of flexion. I'm going to go to check out a guy that won yesterday, Steve Stricker. I'm going to do the same thing. And see how that knee straightens, left knee flexes, and how that allows the hips to turn, left shoulder go down, and the arms to go in. Also got Lee Westwood. I got to take a look at Luke Donald too. And again, obviously they're all doing it. They might do it at different rates, do it certain amounts, but all these players are allowing that knee to lose flexion so that the hips can turn and turn again on a tilted inclined plane. And you can really see how towards the end of the backswing, when they're really letting it go, how that keeps the hips on that angle. And some even can increase it a little bit. Again, Lee's swing kind of similar to Steve Stricker's, looking on the backswing, that left arm matching the shoulder tilts. See really nice symmetry with his shoulder angles, his hips. And then again on the downswing, you're going to see him regain flexion. So then he can extend again into the follow through. Take a look at Luke Donald here. It's kind of tough to see because he's got black pants, but you can see there's a little bit of space where you can see his left knee flexes, right straightens. His left knee is probably straightens to about here. Okay. Also one of the longest players in the game. Bubba Watson. He might straighten it the most and have the most hip turn out of anybody. So talk about the X factor, trying to get as much swing speed as you can. You want to not turn your hips at all and have the most shoulder turn. Well, here's one of the longest players. And look how much he's straightening that left knee. Look at that, where that belt buckle is pointing at the top of the backswing. It's pointing right at the camera. So he's getting a huge amount of hip turn. Okay, so I hope this helps clarify some things. Hope you have an open mind to somebody that might be hearing this for the first time. But again, I feel that this is something very important, maybe one of the most, well, definitely one of the most important pieces, but maybe the most important piece in terms of actually performing the motion and being able to control what the body's doing, allow the hips to turn, and really prevent injury. So thank you very much.